Hesder Yeshiva, you'd probably understand the conflict between the Americans and Israelis. We've just been brought up in such different cultures. For example, while Israelis might not shower as often, Americans definitely don't clean up the room and leave everything all over the place. Where Israelis, despite knowing that the door is locked, push as hard as they can, Americans just forget the key. And despite so many differences between us, there are two things that unite us. One, our absolute fear of shakshuka night, and number two, our dedication to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His Torah. Moshe's speech continues this week. He describes to us the different curses that we will receive should we ever stray from the Torah, and of course he describes the blessings as well, but why is this the final message that Moshe wants us to hear on his last day on earth? Furthermore, we see in Perek Tes, Pasuk Aleph and Beis, Vayikra Moshe al Kol Yisrael Vayomer Alehem Atem Ri'item et Kol Asher Asa Hashem Le'inechem Be'etz Mitzrayim LeParo LeKol Avadav LeKol Artzo Hamasot Hagdolot Asher Ra'u Einecha Ha'otot Ve'amoftim Hagdolim Ha'hem. We see the different miracles that he paints for us a picture of the different miracles that happened to us in Egypt and in the desert. Why doesn't Moshe start with that? Why doesn't he inspire us with that instead of threatening us with these clothes? You would think that a much easier way of easing Bnei Yisrael into becoming a people that is solidified with its connection and trusting of Hashem is by telling it its history of trusting Hashem. Am I wrong? So why is it that we start with the brachos and clothes? Why is it that we don't start with these stories of the different miracles that occurred for us? Rav Zalman Saraskin should suggest that if we put ourselves into Moshe's shoes, it's his last day on earth. He's about to pass away and leave his nation alone. They will be vulnerable to the earth and its many temptations, so what does he want to do? He knows for a fact that the stories that he's going to tell are not going to be enough for them to trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for them to be solidified in their connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So how is the best way to make sure that they have that connection? To understand the Torah, to understand what are the consequences, and to understand the parameters of what exactly it is they're getting into. If they accept it, then that will be a real strong connection. If we understand this generation over the other generation, this makes perfect sense. The previous generation is the one that saw all these miracles, not this generation. This generation had much more subdued miracles, such as the shoes didn't wear out, and you had to look and see Hashem's hand in those miracles. But obviously you saw Hashem's hand in miracles such as the Makos or Kriyas Yamsuf. Perhaps if we take a step back, we can understand this in a whole new light. In Perek of Zayin, Pasuk Tet, it describes how Vayidaber Moshe v'Kohanim Haleviim El Kol Yisrael Leimor Hasketu Shema Yisrael Hayom Hazeh Niyato La'am LaHashem Elokecha. That today you're going to become a nation under Hashem your God. Today we're going to become a nation. You mean until now we haven't been a nation? What have we been until now? Perhaps this is a lot more understandable if we look back in Bereshis, where Yaakov is on his deathbed. And he's describing to the brothers their different weaknesses and their different strengths. And he realizes how divided the nation really is. It's 12 smaller nations, not one large one. How do they get unified? In Bereshis Rabbah we see that Yaakov realized that they were a unified nation when they yelled out in front of him, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Yaakov realizes that his sons are unified as a nation, unified in a national identity, in their bitachon, in their dedication to Kadosh Baruch Hu and His Torah. Knowing this, let's outline the following. Moshe is afraid because his fear is that his nation is not going to be strong enough to make it through the years without him. That eventually they are going to stray off the path. So how does he strengthen them? He makes them reconfirm their belief, reconfirm their dedication and their willingness to learn the Torah. After hearing all these brachos and klos, after hearing what they can gain and what they can lose, they go in with open eyes, knowing what it means to be an Eved Hashem, what it means to be a Ben Torah, and they accept it anyway. And once they accept it, because we saw by Yaakov that they are united in their understanding of Talmud Torah, their understanding, their dedication to Talmud Torah, and their dedication to Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's where they become a nation. And after they become a nation, Moshe can explain to them what it meant to be trusting HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To understand that Hashem is always going to be there for them because He's been there for them up until now. Whether they saw it in the previous generation or whether He's involved with them now. The conflict between Americans and Israelis in my yeshiva is not the only conflict in Judaism. We have so many different factions, so many different divisions, so many different understandings of what Judaism is supposed to be, that we just fight with each other. We don't unite. We have to understand that the way in which we unite ourselves is not in how we're different and forcing other people to accept our differences, but rather focusing on the similarity, focusing on the fact that as a people, we are dedicated to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His Torah. And once we understand that, we will be ultimately stronger for it. Have a good Shabbos and welcome back.
Yet one image lingered, the tears on her face, and mother's words from their last embrace. Shema, Shema Yisroel, know that there is but one God above. When you feel pain, when you rejoice, know how it longs to hear your voice. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad.